Backlog of Forex demand was a major challenge, as outlined by Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Olayemi Cardoso, upon assumption of office in his preliminary assessment of issues confronting the Apex Bank. That challenge is now being addressed, as the CBN during the week started paying outstanding foreign exchange obligations on currency forward contracts owed to banks. This is restoring investors' confidence in the system. Meanwhile, the federal government is planning to introduce new rules into the foreign exchange market aimed at reflecting the true value of the naira against other currencies of the world. We will be discussing that and other related matters with a seasoned economist in today's episode. After the top stories from the Apex Bank. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Thanks for staying tuned. Here are the top stories from the CBN this week. The Central Bank of Nigeria has reassured citizens of sufficient stock of currency notes for economic activities in the country, advising against panic withdrawals. CBN spokesman Dr. Isa Abdulmumin, in a press release yesterday, said the attention of the bank has been drawn to reports of alleged scarcity of cash at banks, automated teller machines ATMs, points of sale POS, and among bureau de change BDCs in some major cities across the country. Dr. Abdulmumin added that upon investigation, the bank found out that the seeming scarcity in some locations is due largely to high volume withdrawals from the CBN branches by deposit money banks and panic withdrawals by customers from the ATMs. It therefore advised members of the public to desist from panic withdrawals, as there is enough currency notes for economic activities in the country, and that all CBN branches are working to ensure the seamless circulation of cash in their respective states of operation. Furthermore, Nigerians are advised to also embrace alternative modes of payment to reduce pressure on the use of physical cash. Similarly, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it has no plans to restructure or redenominate the naira, contrary to a false message being circulated across social media platforms. Director of CBN Corporate Communications Department, Dr. Isa Abdulmumin, in a press release on Tuesday, October the 31st, said the bank had taken note of a misleading text message in circulation suggesting that there is a plan to redenominate the naira with effect from January next year. Dr. Abdulmumin said the bank is concerned that the narrative, which had earlier been refuted, appears to be gaining traction, with several debates on the implication of such a policy for the Nigerian economy. He reiterated that the contents of the message are misleading, as the authors of the message, in their mischief, modified text taken from an old policy move by a previous CBN governor in 2007 to make it appear recent. The CBN director said, for the avoidance of doubt, there is currently no plan by the central bank to restructure and redenominate the naira, advising the public to ignore the fake report as it is speculative and calculated to cause panic in the polity. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Olayemi Cardoso, on Monday received a delegation of the British International Investment PLC (BII) on a courtesy visit to the bank at the headquarters, Abuja. The delegation included the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Richard Montgomery, the Managing Director and Head Africa, British International Investment, Mr. Christopher Chijutomi, Coverage Director for Africa, British International Investment, Mr. Benson Adenuga, Country Economist, British International Investment, Mr. Ifi Isiekwe, and Investment Executive, British International Investment, Mr. Dayo Ogundare. Governor Cardoso received the delegation in the company of CBN Deputy Governor, Economic Policy, Mr. Mohammed Sani Abdullahi, and his special advisor, Mr. Anthony Ogufere. The British International Investment PLC, the UK government's development finance institution, is reported to have opened an office in Nigeria this week with the aim of investing $200 million before the end of the year. Talking about foreign investment in the country, CBN Governor Dr. Olayemi Cardoso made reference to the very many foreign interests willing to commit their resources to the country while responding to questions at the recent NESG summit in Abuja last month. Here's an excerpt.
The last thing I would want to do is talk about foreign exchange and the foreign exchange market in isolation. If I did this, I would be shortchanging the narrative. Happily, we have a situation where the bleeding with respect to Nigeria's resources have stopped. If the fiscal is bleeding, it makes life very difficult for us on the monetary side. In addition to that, the attempt at unification of the foreign exchange market, fine, not by any means perfect, but at least substantial more revenues have come in. And in due course, we will see the outcome. So when people say they are concerned, they are worried, they are this thing, I think the time to do that, quite frankly, has gone. There are more difficult decisions to be made, no question about it. But the two very difficult decisions, painful, they've been taken, and now it is a question of managing things till we get to where we really want to get to. And that's where we really want to get to is a place where we have a foreign exchange market that is fit for purpose. A foreign exchange market that works for everybody. A foreign exchange market where you know the rules. A foreign exchange market where there are no policy flip-flops. A foreign exchange market where you can predict. That's the bigger deal. And I'm happy, to be frank, and I must share this, that we have had an enormous amount of interest from foreign portfolio investors, foreign stakeholders who really and truly are interested in continuing to engage with Nigeria. And the reason, of course, is they can see where this is all going to.
Oh, I see. Just hold on in that case. Let me call out my PIN. It is 41...
Uncle, please stop.
Stop what?
You're giving someone else your personal identification number PIN?
Not someone else. It's from my bank.
Please hang up, Uncle. That's a fraudster.
That's not true. But they call out my full name. I am sure this is from my bank.
Uncle, no bank is ever going to call you to ask for your personal identification number PIN, your mobile banking password, or your card verification code, CVC.
But it sounded so genuine.
Yes, hackers and fraudsters always sound genuine. But please, Uncle, don't fall for their bait. Don't respond to any phony emails, text message, SMS, and don't click on any link you're not sure of. Even if they call your date of birth or your BVN, don't give them your security details. If you suspect any issue with your account, please go to your bank.
Oh, I see.
This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Welcome back. The federal government is planning to introduce new foreign exchange rules, one of which is targeted at cracking down on illegal currency trading with the hope of projecting the true value of the naira against the major currencies of the world by December. This was disclosed during a Bloomberg interview granted by the chairman, Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, who said the government sees a fair price of between 650 to 750 naira to a US dollar by year end. To dissect these and other related issues from a monetary authority point of view, we spoke earlier with an economist and Chief Executive Officer, BIC Consultancy Services, Dr. Boniface Chizie. Dr. Boniface Chizie, many thanks for joining us on the program today.
Thank you, Yemisi, for having me. Thank you.
Okay, let's start with this recent report of the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, who disclosed that the federal government is planning to introduce new foreign exchange rules that is projected to help reflect the true value of the naira. Now, the question is, what determines the true value of a currency?
Well, okay, let me first of all commend the government for its optimism. You know that the market has a psychology. And so it's okay, for instance, if the government is making some positive vibes, it helps the market. There's psychology in the market. But what determines the value of the currency is not something that you don't, even when you have a model of the economy, you know, sometimes it's very difficult to say. You know, but for Nigerians, what is more important is that they want stability. They want stability in the rates. And so, you know, if we take it, you know, before this government came on board, you know, what was the rate? You know, the rate of the naira exchange, it was under 500, it was about 460 or thereabouts. And so Nigerians will prefer that it stays around that rate, you know, and that's what's important. People, macroeconomic stability is so important because if you're a business person and you're doing business, you want predictability. You know, people are prepared to manage risks, but not uncertainty. And so when you are going to buy things and you're going to sell them, and then by the time you want to go and buy them again, you don't know, you can't guess what the rate would be. Then that creates a problem on itself. It makes almost impossible for the business person to be able to plan. So that's what's more important. But value of the currency, you know, is something that it should be tied to the rate of inflation. If you're talking about country to country and so on and so forth, so it's something that you cannot. So I don't think that's something we should sweat over. You know, so they say this is the rate they want to. It just be a feel good estimate. You know, so. I mean, we just feel that even pride can come into it, sovereignty can come into it. You know, people attach sovereignty, you know, even to the rates of exchange. You know, so Nigerian rate of exchange should not be this low. You know, so you have people talk like that, but that's not the issue. The issue is that, like I said earlier on, economic agents want stability. By the time you have disruption like we've had lately, it's not good for anybody because it causes uncertainty, because it destabilizes the system, and very soon people cannot estimate again, people can't afford, you know, so being able to afford and meeting basic things is very important for people. So I don't think we should waste time with what the value is going to be. But I think that if they can do that, if they can achieve that, that will be magic. You know, let's face facts.
So now the government plans to clear a backlog of dollar demand of about $7 billion and to strengthen Naira forward market and also set transparent rules for the operations of the official market. Those are the things the government has in plan. The CBN governor, Dr. Olayemi Kadeso, also mentioned that as part of the plans to restore confidence in the Apex Bank. Now, in what other ways do you think the Forex market, the Nigeria's Forex market, can be reformed? What other things do you think should be looked into to either boost liquidity or restore confidence, or both?
Well, I think that, let me first of all commend the government. I think that the backlog of remittances, if you look at the crash we just recently experienced, I suspect that largely it's coming from that source. Because if you earn money and you're not based in Nigeria, and your shareholders are not based in Nigeria, and you earn some monies, and then you have a humongous amount of naira sitting in your account, bank account here in Nigeria, and then you're not able to remit it for 10 years. Then the next opportunity you have, you want to take it does not matter the rate. So I think that trying to, if they can clear that, it's about 6.7, you said that probably $7 billion. If they can clear it, that will remove substantial pressure. So I think that they're on course. And that's why we don't know if the monies they're expecting, whether those monies have come in. But I think that's the right way to go.
One of the first executive order is that under forbearance, they will now allow all cash in the domestic economy to legally come into the formal money supply. And that is also going to affect those with domiciliary accounts. I think they will be able to now move their money and do whatever with it. You were going to explain to us better what that particular order entails and how it will play out. The second one is that they will now allow domestic issuance of foreign currency instruments. So can you take it up from there? How will it play out? What are these going to do to the Forex market?
Well, I think that those policies are well thought out. I think that's good. For you should prepare. So if somebody has a foreign exchange, look, there are lots of foreign exchange in various rooms in this economy. But like when you have an inflationary environment where inflation is going to about 27%, that's a very high rate. And then the Naira value is dropping, the weight is dropping. There are lots of people, I talk to some people, they tell me, why not change your money and put it in dollars? I said, change your money in dollars and put it where? Where are you going to put it? You put it under your mattress. That's a risk there. But there are lots of monies like that. We're not talking of maybe, almost literally every person that earns money in this economy, that thinks that they might need their dollars, going forward. There are lots of holdings. And so what they're saying, if you bring it out, we will not. Those holdings they're not illegal. But it's for those who have ill-gotten, who have earned money illegally, like we used to have time before in the past, when people would earn dollars and they put them in Latin pits and so on, and humongous amounts of money they're trying to send to overseas to save. Those are the people that would help. But what we cannot say now, like I said, yes, that might unlock some revenue, dollar revenue, and I will hope that that it does so. Because really the challenge we have is that of liquidity. That's liquidity crisis. That the rate of exchange is falling, the way it's falling, is because there's no supply. And so I'm very glad that the president, in fact, they opened up and they're trying to do whatever it takes, anything and everything, to see how we can start this inflow of the dollars. Begin to get people to. But if you take much more than that, because when you find that there's a trust deficit. People have been burnt and so on, and then they look at the things, what they see and what they feel. And I'm telling them, so if I have some money, buried, kept under my mattress, maybe thinking that I'm going to travel 6 months, and you're telling me that I should bring it and that they're going to give it to me, and so on. Eventually, the issue of trust deficit is here. So yes, but we don't know. This is we are saying there might be those who really have a humongous amount of money. During the last political elections, my dollars became the medium of exchange. So how did they get those monies? So that tells you that there are lots of people, massive dollar holdings, and we are just keeping it, and that money is not any interest, and there's a risk to it, the risk of theft, the risk of fire, and that everything is gone up in flames. So I think that it's at the position we are now. It should be, nothing should be taken off the table. So we should just, whatever we do, we'll just do it and monitor, and then hope. One of the problems we have in this economy is that we sometimes come with policies and we don't try them out. And by the time we did Naira for dollar, they brought in $1 to future channel, they gave it 5 Naira. And then eventually, and that has been taken off. They've stopped it. So, and then if you look at the records, you are earning, they got $2.9 billion, 9 months, they got 2 point something, so they got some money through that process. So if there's anything we can do like that will force people, because there are lots of diaspora remittances that are flowing into this economy. And it's one of the things that is sustaining this economy to some extent. Otherwise, they're having very, very serious. So people are getting money. So people have businesses here. They have contracts overseas. They give them dollars here, and the person needs Naira here, and you pay Naira to the person, and you just agree amongst yourself. And then there's no institution involved. It's just a question of trust between people who know themselves. So if there's anything we can do to make people begin to think that, okay, I can bring monies and so on. Before, you said people bring in money, remittances, they bring it. and then you seize it, and you give them a rate of exchange, which you think, you can allow them, allow them the freedom. If you want to take that money, let them take it. But it's easier said than done. So if you say they will take it,
but that has been put in place for a while now. People who deposit in hard currency are allowed to take their money back in hard currency.
Let me say that's sweet talk. What's the reality? You go to a bank and they don't have the dollars to give you. What then are they going to do? If the dollar liquidity is that's regular with the banks, I don't think it's so. How many banks would you go to today and say you want $10,000 and you get it?
Okay, let's wind down. Let's discuss this final question. Inflation rate as of September was put at 26.72%, and the interest rate is at 18.75%. How would you advise the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria to proceed when they meet later this month?
Let me see. The problem is that the central bank is handicapped. The only thing central bank can do is adjust interest rates. That's all they can do. But they want to fight inflation. They raise interest rates. But sometimes, you would borrow these policy instruments and we just apply them. Now you begin to raise interest rates where you have excess demand, where there's so much liquidity within the system. But you have an environment like Nigeria where the issue is not just that people you have excessive demand. Look, the cost of inflation in Nigeria is cost push. And so your rate of exchange, the naira is falling. So it impacts the cost of your production, it impacts your protection, it impacts everything you do. And when that is the case, the monetary policy, to a large extent, doesn't have much to do. And that's why when Cardoso came and he said, he was going to emphasize the development aspect of central banking. I did the paper I did. I said no, that's not correct, because it's enshrined there in their act that says part of what they should do is development banking. And that's why for a long time, we're having all these preferred and non-preferred sectors and so on, and we're giving all some incentives. It's not done elsewhere. That is development banking. So those are the challenges. I don't know. I think maybe hanging by this.
All right, Dr. Boniface Chizia, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Many thanks for your time and your insights.
Thank you, MSC. Thank you for having me.
That's all we have from the CBN this week. Be careful not to fall for any fraudulent recruitment portal or loan scheme advertisement purportedly from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Get your information from trusted sources always. Reports are reserved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department using the email cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Attach relevant documents. Call the CBN Contact Center on the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Write to us through the email address fromthecbn@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X.com, formerly Twitter, for updates and to watch uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I'm Williamisi Dada. Stay safe and bye for now.